Let me know if the reception gets bad. I might, I can potentially move to a different location in the house to make it better. Okay. Are there any questions or any feedback from that from the guest speakers last week before I get started?
Yeah, just some feedback. I really found it helpful, especially like the amount of different positions that each person was working in. It's not just like one like tech person. There's a lot of recruiters and whatnot. So it was really helpful.
Cool, that's good to hear. They're all super nice and super helpful. If you want their contact info, I can send it out, and you're free to contact them. You know, it could be a couple of years from now if you're interviewing or need help with anything. They're really good resources to have too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Professor, do we need to email you for that, or is that already out there?
I'll post it. Why don't I post it as an announcement in Canvas? I'll put their LinkedIn links and contact email.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so instead of an article, I have this infographic, and I just thought I'd talk through this really quick here. So this is talking about the recruiting process for software developer roles. Some of this might be kind of obvious and self-explanatory, but sometimes a lot of this can be kind of a surprise to people at the same time. So in this example, they have the position paying $94,000 a year. I mean, for easy math, I don't know why they didn't just say 100,000. So roughly 100,000 per year. This would be maybe not entry level, but kind of a middle, maybe slightly junior level developer. And for a role like that, and this is actually probably a few years old, but in this example, it takes an average of 43 days to fill the position. So that's the time from when they first post the position to when somebody's hired. It might even be when they're hired and when they actually start the job. There could be lost productivity, both from the role being vacant and from work expended to recruit people, amounting to about $32,000. Internal costs include internal recruiters, administrative work. Sometimes they pay relocation fees if people are moving across the country or the world even. Then sometimes they'll go with agencies. And so the agencies, this could be for a contract role or it could be for an FTE full-time role, but the agency is acting as like a headhunter. They can charge, let's see in their example here, well, it's typically a percent of the, oh, here we go. 15 to 30% of the employee's annual pay for that first year. So if this position paid $100,000, they're going to pay an agency about $15,000 to $30,000 for finding the applicant. And then the process. So over this period of 43 days, the first step is sourcing. So they write the job description. They post the position to job boards like monster.com or LinkedIn. Those postings can cost thousands of dollars. Then they review the application. They use applicant tracking systems like resume databases. They'll conduct pre-screen processes. There might be not a mock interview, like a trial interview where you'd come on site and actually they might present you with a problem that you would write code for. Not to mention multiple interview rounds. And then there's the cost of onboarding, so administrative fees and so forth. So there's a couple points I want to, yeah, we're going to get to the grocery list too later today. But a couple points I wanted to cover here. First off, the entire process can take weeks, if not months. So, let's just say somebody's graduating this year and they have a goal of working in a new job this summer. The companies could be getting budget approval for a position right now that might get approved in March, that would then be posted maybe end of March, beginning of April, and they would conduct all of these sourcing activities, multiple rounds of interviews and so forth. That person might be hired in June and they might start July 1st. Now, the process can go a lot more quickly than that, especially in smaller organizations, or sometimes tech firms can be really like well-oiled machines and they just move fast, but oftentimes it could take weeks, if not months. So a lot of this stuff, you really have to think long-term and understand this could take several weeks and months. Then the networking for this, let's imagine that you have a goal of starting a position not June of 2021, but June of 2022. Well, again, you can see how it's not too early then to start kind of networking and socializing and meeting people even a year ahead of time. And then in terms of finances, if an employer goes through all of this process and they want to hire you, and they actually do, want you can very likely ask for an additional, I don't know, maybe $5,000. So almost always, if they make you an offer, you can counter and ask for a few thousand more. You don't want to get totally overconfident and ask for too much and kind of blow it. But you can see when they go through all of this, if you turn down an offer, they might just go to the next candidate, but they might have to start all over again. So to pay you an extra $5,000 is no big deal. So does this kind of help give kind of like an overview of the hiring process?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go to, I did find out regarding the final exam, they do use the lockdown browser, but we do not use the video. So you won't need to have your webcam and video on during the exam, but it will use the lockdown browser. So any other questions about that?
Professor, I have a quick question about creating a project. I don't know why it asks select a wizard when I want to create a new project. So do you know which one I should choose? Like the wizard?
I can walk through that in here, but you shouldn't really need a wizard. You can just select file, new project, and then new package.
Cause I just reinstalled the Eclipse, and I believe for the first project I create, it asks about select a wizard, and otherwise I can create one. I'm not sure.
Maybe send me a screenshot, but you can turn that off if you want. You shouldn't need a wizard. So like this. Oh, here is this what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So you would select a Java project.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about the final exam? Was somebody asking about the lockdown browser?
It's not about the. I'm not the one who asked about the lockdown browser, but I just got a quick question. Are we gonna like finish today's grocery list assignment in class with you?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then
quick,
there'll be another assignment similar to it, but the grocery list we'll walk through during class. And I'll start recording now too. Let me start this.
Sorry, I was cutting off a little bit, but really quick question, follow that up. If we don't finish it during class time, is it like, what do you call it? Late or something, or?
No, you can totally turn in later. But
Okay,
I'm
cool.
gonna. My goal will be to walk through
Yeah, for
the whole
sure.
thing.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. But before we get to the grocery list, I'm not going to go through any lecture slides today, but I'm going to walk through some other code. So, and you can see my screen okay, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a bank program that simulates a bank similar to like a ATM cash machine. So there's 3 classes here: account, bank, and customer. So I'm going to start with the account class, and you don't need to type anything. I'm just going to walk through this code as an example, and then we'll get into the grocery list code. Okay, so our first class is the account class. Okay, so here we have package HW bank. So that matches the name of our package over here. And then we're in account.java. And then here's the beginning of the class here. And these are the data fields. So there's a private data field account number. They've made it an int. I would argue it could almost be a string, but it's fine. This is kind of a more simple example.
I'm sorry. What's the difference between private and public?
It's just a data access modifier. So it controls which classes can view the data field. So when it's private, only methods in this class can view this data field. So we're going to use public get and set methods to access these data fields.
Okay, thank you.
And then the next fields are private, double. So double is the data type. And then the data fields are balance. So that would be the account balance, the amount of funds in the account. And then minimum balance and overdraft. Okay, and then this next method is a constructor method. So remember, we know it's a constructor method because the name of this method has the same name as the name of the class. So they're both called account. And this one has no parameters. So that means this is the default constructor. And then it has a few data fields within it. So account number, balance, minimum balance, overdraft fee. And these data fields essentially match the data fields up here. And what this does, remember, the constructor method gets called automatically when we create an object of this class. So it's simply setting these data fields to default values. So when we create a new account, if we don't pass in any parameters, this default constructor method gets called, and it just sets the values equal to -1 for account number, balance equals 0, minimum balance equals 0, and overdraft fee equals 25. And then here we have another constructor method, but this one has a parameter called initial balance. It's type double. So this method would get called if we pass in a starting balance when we create a new account. And I'll show you an example of this in the code here shortly. So this has the same data field. So account number, balance, minimum balance, overdraft fee. But in this example, it takes that parameter that's passed in and sets the balance equal to the amount that's passed in. So if we create an account and we pass in as a parameter argument $1,000, then instead of the balance starting off at 0, like up here, it's going to start off with that $1,000 amount that we passed in. And so these two methods are constructor methods, but the fact that there's two of them, that's called method overloading. And so with overloading, we have multiple versions of methods with the same name. Those are both named account, but one passes in a parameter and one doesn't. Or alternatively, this one might pass in 1 or 2 parameters, and this one might pass in 3 or 4 parameters. It's just a different number of parameters. And because of the Java language, it will call the applicable method automatically depending on the parameters that are passed in. So if you don't pass in any starting balance, this first one gets called. And if we do pass in an amount, then it will know to use this constructor. And I'm pretty sure this is on the final exam, both the concept of constructors and the concept of method overloading. And this program has an example of using this too. So we'll walk through an example of calling these guys in a minute. Okay, so then after that, it's mostly get and set methods. So here is public int get account number. All that does is return the account number. Nothing's passed in, but when we call this method, we're just saying, hey, get me the account number, and it returns the account number. And remember, the data field is private, but these methods are public. So if we're in a different class, we can't directly access the data field because it's private, but we can call the get method because it's public. So here's public int get account number, and it just returns account number. And then same thing with get balance, public double get balance, returns the balance. Public double get minimum balance returns the minimum balance value. And then public double get overdraft fee returns the overdraft fee. Then we have the set methods. So the set methods don't return anything. So the return type is void for all of these. But here we're passing in values as the parameter argument, and the method takes those values and puts the values into the data fields. So public void set account number, and the parameter is int account number, and it takes that account number and it says, okay, this dot account number, which is the data field up here, account number, set that equal to the account number that's passed in. And then it does the same set balance. So public void set balance.
Hello. I'm sorry for interrupting. I just have a quick question. What does this do again?
So it simply refers to, it's the data field in this same class. So this dot account number just means the account number up here in the same class. And when you type,
okay.
Let's see here. So when we type this and then you hit the dot, it'll bring up it shows all the different data fields in this class.
I see. Then like, is it like referring to that?
Yeah, it's just an explicit reference to say we're talking about the data fields in the class that we're already in, basically.
But what would happen if we didn't write this? Would that make a huge difference?
In this case, it would still work. But this kind of makes it more direct, more explicit that we're talking about the class that we're in.
So it's like useful for more complex programs.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So these are similar. Set balance, set minimum balance, set overdraft fee. And then we have a method to deposit funds, a method to withdraw funds, and then a print method that's kind of like a report. So deposit funds, we pass them out in, and it just says this dot balance plus equals amount, which is the same as balance equals balance plus amount. And then withdraw funds, balance equals balance minus amount. So it's just going to deduct this amount from the balance. And the print account info simply prints out all of the data fields. But this is useful because we can call this method once and it prints all the fields. And then also the method is public. So just to recap here, it's got, so account class, it has account number, balance, minimum balance, overdraft fee, has get and set methods for each data field. And then it has deposit or withdrawal, and then a print method here. Okay, so now let's look at the customer class. So again, we're still in the same package, but now we're in the second of the 3 classes. So now we're in the customer class. So this class kind of emulates the people, the customers that would go to the bank and have an account. Okay, so the package name matches. And then we have, so public class customer, and then private string, first name, last name. And then the account, I'm going to come back to this in a moment. So let's skip over this account for a moment. Well, no, I changed my mind because we're gonna need to talk about that here. Okay, so the next field, and this kind of gets to the object-oriented design here. These first fields are string fields, right? Just first name and last name. The next field is private account, uppercase A, which is a class, the class we just walked through. And then here, lowercase a is an account object. So what this means is that the customer class has an account class within it. So it's kind of like nested classes. So you might, if we were talking about object-oriented design, you might have a class for office building, and the office building might contain an elevator class. Or you might have a class for motorboat, and that class will contain another class for a motor. So in this case, it's like a customer has a account. And this is actually For this program, this is probably the most complex part of it philosophically of the whole program, because it can be kind of an odd concept to kind of grasp when we're just learning the language. But again, we walked through the account class. So now in the customer class has a first name field and a last name field that are both strings, but it also has an account class within it. And this is really what links the customer with the account class. And let me continue walking through this. It might make more sense. So here's the default constructor. So public customer, and there's no parameters. And it sets first name equal to unknown, last name equal to unknown. And then here it creates an object of the account class. So account equals new account. So what this means is every time we create an object of the customer class, it's kind of like spawning off an account class within it. And then here's another constructor method. Again, it's named customer, but this one contains two parameters. So string first and string last for first name and last name. And it takes the two parameters passed in, it just sets those data values equal to the arguments passed in. And then this also creates the account object. So when we create a customer class, if we just create a customer class, don't pass in any parameter arguments, it will use this default constructor. But if we create a customer and we pass in a name like Bob Lee, then it will use this constructor because this one's looking for the two strings, first name and last name. Sets the name data fields equal to the name values, and then creates the account class object. Here's a third constructor, also named customer, but this one has three parameters to it. So first name, last name, and the balance, the starting balance of their account. Okay, so if we create a customer and we pass in, we say, okay, I'm going to create a customer. His name is John Smith, and starting balance is 25,000. It would use this constructor, set the names equal to the name values. And then here it says account equals new account. So it creates the account object and it passes in the 25,000 that we passed into the customer constructor, gets passed into the account class. And we can kind of trace this in, right? So here, it's creating an account class object. It's passing in that 25,000 parameter argument that was passed in. If we go back to our account class, remember, here's the default constructor that's used when nothing's passed in, right? But in this instance, we're passing in a $25,000 starting balance. So it would use this constructor and it would pass in 12,000 as the initial balance and set the balance field equal to that. And then the rest of the customer class pretty much get and set methods. So get first name returns first name. Yeah, is there a question?
Yes, I think I'm getting it, but like, what was the point of creating an object? Like, what does it do?
So when we create the objects, we can actually create multiple objects of each class. So in this example, we may only create maybe 1 or 2 or 3 customers, but we could create a program with like an array or an array list, and we could create 1,000 customers with 1,000 different accounts. And the object names might be named customer 1, customer 2, customer 3. So there'd be multiple objects, but they would all be objects of the same class. It's almost like a cookie cutter kind of. And when we get into the bank class, it might make more sense too as we look at some examples of this.
Okay, thank you.
So then we have get first name, get last name. It just returns the name fields. Okay, the get account method. So it's a little more complicated. The get account method returns the account object. So up here, get last name returns the last name field, which is simply a string. But here, get account returns the account object, and that's this account object up here. So it's very similar to the name fields, but in this instance, it's an actual account. It's an actual account class object within the customer class object. And then these last method, after the get and set methods, this open account and close account, they're kind of just simulating, the bank program. So all they're really doing is, well, this open account doesn't really do much, but the close account method just kind of sets the data fields equal to default values. So when we close an account, it just says, okay, set everything back equal to unknown or -1. Okay, so now let's like kind of back up for a minute and take a step back here. So we walked through the account class, okay? And all of the data fields and methods pertain to an account. So this kind of gets to the object-oriented design. So you wouldn't have the customer name field in the account class because the customer name pertains to the customer, not the account. Whereas something like an account number or an account balance pertains to the account object. So all of the data fields and methods are relevant to the account here. So account number, balance, minimum balance, overdraft fee. And then the methods all relate to those data fields. So get and set methods, deposit funds, print account info. And then the customer class, it's all the data fields and methods that pertain to a customer. So first name, last name, and then the account that they hold. Now, the object-oriented design, there might be 100 different ways to design this. There's not necessarily any one right or wrong method. But in this design, this is what links each account to each customer, right? Because the accounts are not just generic accounts out there. The accounts are held by a customer. So the fact that this account class is inside the customer class is kind of like what links them as far as the object-oriented design. Okay, so we have those two classes, but notice we haven't yet gone through a main method. So if we only had the account class and the customer class, there isn't really any code there that we could actually run and execute as a program. So that's going to be found in the bank class. And I have two versions of I guess I'll use the bank too. I think I updated this with a little more info. So now we're in the third class of this program, right? So we have account class, customer class. Now we're in the bank class. It's named bank 2. And this class contains the main method. So when we run this program, this is the class that actually runs, okay? So here's the beginning of the class, the bank class. The bank class itself has one private data field, routing number. That's basically like the bank ID number. That's the unique identification number that each bank has. And then here's the default constructor. Public bank 2 has the same name as the name of the class. And it just sets the routing number field equal to all zeros. So when we create a new bank object, the routing number would start off as all zeros. Then we have a get and set methods for the routing number. So get routing number just returns routing number. Set routing number takes a parameter and sets the routing number field equal to that parameter that's passed in. Okay, then we have public customer, create new customer. The parameters are first name and last name. And inside this method, it creates a new customer object. So customer with a capital C is the name of the class. Customer with a lowercase c is the name of the object. So this could be named anything we like, customer 1, customer 2, customer 3. Equals new customer, that allocates memory and creates an object. And then we call the set methods to set the first name and last name data field. So customer.set first name, and we pass in the first name value. Customer.set last name, we pass in the last name value. And then we return the customer object that we just created in this method. So right here, inside this method, we create a customer object, set the first and last name, and then return the customer object. Okay, and then down here, this is our main method. So now let me just walk through this main method and then I'll run this. Okay, so first thing we do in the main method, we create an object of the bank class. So bank 2 is the name of the class. Bank with the lowercase b is the name of the object. So bank 2 bank equals new bank 2. So now we have an object of a bank class. Okay, now we create a customer object. So customer 1 equals new customer. Customer 1 equals bank dot create new customer, and we pass in Bob Smith for the name. Then we call a few methods. So customer 1, again, this is the name of the object that we created. Customer 1 dot get account dot deposit funds, and we pass in $1,000. Then we call again customer 1 dot get account dot deposit funds $10, and then customer 1 dot get account dot withdraw funds $350. Then we print out system.out.println customer 1 dot get last name, customer 1 dot get account dot print account info. And then we do kind of much the same with a second customer class object. So here, remember the name of the class doesn't change. So it's still called customer with the uppercase C. That's the name of the class. And then customer 2 is our object name, right? So up here, it's customer 1. But for the second customer object, it's customer 2. And other than that, kind of the same process here. We pass in first and last name. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Why are there like two objects created? Are they like the same thing or different? The customer.
It's simply it's just a second example. So if we had like a classroom class and we had a student class, then if we had 30 students in the class, we would create 30 student objects. So it's the same thing here. Each object is a different person in this program model, basically. So there's only one customer class, but a bank has multiple customers, so the customer objects are like would be like the different people in the bank.
Yes. Then like why? So I'm just wondering if the created object customer is the same thing. For example, like is it changing values, or why couldn't you write like create a new object with customer number one maybe? I mean number two. If it's number two. It's number one, or does this one object belong to all of it?
They're just basically two different objects with different names of the same customer class.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you go to the get account method real quick? I just want to remember what it does.
Yeah, good question. So let's trace this to kind of follow the path that the method calls take. So excuse me. Okay, so here is customer one. That's an object we created, and then we call get account. So let's go to the customer class and look at the get account method. So the get account method, all that does is return the account object that's in the customer class right here. So it's basically saying like, go back here. So here it's saying, okay, for customer one, please return their account object.
Yeah. And then once we're in the account class, it calls the deposit funds method, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like nested like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now, yeah, so we've got our starting, excuse me, our starting point was customer one. Now we're kind of holding on to their account for customer one. And now we call deposit funds. But now we're not inside the customer class directly. We're inside the account class. So we, excuse me, we started with customer one. We called get account. So customer one, get account, that returns the account, that returns this up here. And then we call deposit funds. So let's go to the account class and look at the deposit funds method. And it just says, okay, they're passing in an amount, take that amount and add it to the balance. So these get and set methods are pretty straightforward, but really the most complicated part of this whole thing is really this right here, because of the way that it's nested and the fact that the account class is contained within the customer class.
And since we didn't call on a specific constructor, it just used the initial one, right? So the balance would be 0 instead. Like that's the reason why it's going to be like directly 1,000, because we didn't call on the constructor in the account class, right?
Yeah. When up here we created a customer class object, which in turn creates an account. But yeah, right here, we created the customer, we passed in Bob Smith, but we did not pass in an amount. Yep. So then it uses the default account constructor, and that one just sets the default balance equal to 0.
Okay. Is the create new customer method inside the customer class or the bank2 class? The create new customer method.
It's here. So
Oh, so it's inside the
bank.create new customers. So it's, where did it go? Up here.
Oh, okay.
I actually
So-
think,
Yeah, so why would it be in bank? Could it be in like customer, for example? Like you could create a customer within the customer class, or is there a reason that it's in the bank class?
it's kind of the design of it. The way this is set up, the bank contains the customer objects, and each customer object contains an account object. So
Oh, okay.
if we were to take this a step further, we could, in the bank class, have like an array list, and it could contain like 1,000 customer objects. So the bank would contain the customers. Customers would contain the accounts. So and so like if we were to expand this here, the customer has one account. But if we were to expand this, we might also create a checking account and a savings account. And so then it would become like a 2-to-1 relationship where each customer would contain 2 account class objects, one checking account, one savings account.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So
So I got a question. I'm sorry I keep going back to this, but what difference would it have made? Would it have made if you said public? Oh, could you go back?
Oh, sorry,
To
where?
account.
To where?
Yeah, to
Account?
account to just now, the previous. Yeah, here. So what difference would it have made if you had written like public int account number instead of private int account number to the program?
Oh, up here.
Yeah.
So this is really a design thing, and they'll talk more about this next quarter on CS211. But if we made this field public, then you would not need the get method for account number. Like this method here, get account number, you would not need to call this method if this field was private, because then if this was public, you could be in a different class like customer, and then you could just call account one dot account, like system.out.println account one dot account number. But because this is private, it says you cannot access this field, it's private. So if you're calling from another class, we're not going to let you even look at this data. But
okay.
But like the get and set methods, you can call the get and set methods, and they operate as kind of like gatekeepers of the data. And so like an example of this is, an account number might be like just raw data, right? Like it might look like just raw data like that, right? But your the get method, like get account number, you might want to reformat it. So rather than return account number and return something like that, you might want to return it, some kind of formatting like hyphens in certain spots, stuff like that. It kind of controls the access. And yeah, so because these methods are public, we can call these methods from the other classes, and we do. So this is the account class. So when we're in the customer class, where's the example I'm looking for here? So like this, we're in the customer class, and here's the method close account, and whoops, and we call the account.setBalance method and we set the balance equal to -1. If the balance data field was public, we would not need to call the set balance method. We could just say this dot account dot balance equals -1. So the set and get methods, I mean, I think it's good experience just using methods, but they're just kind of like gatekeepers to the data. It's almost like, you know, if you're calling someone in an office and they don't give you their direct phone number, they just give you the phone number to like the front desk. And then you call the front desk and you say, I want to speak to Bob Smith. And then the operator or admin assistant says, okay, I'll transfer you. That's kind of like the get and set methods. Whereas if the method is public, that's like having someone's direct phone number.
Oh, that's a really good example. Thank you. I finally understand it. So like, can you go to account? No, this is fine. This is fine. So this is like so that private account number only belongs to class account. But yeah, that's one. Okay. All right. Thank you. I understand.
And the final exam doesn't get so much into get and set methods per se, but it will use method parameters, and it does talk about constructors and overloading methods. So know what overloading methods are, and that's basically overloading methods is where we have multiple versions of the method with the same name but different numbers of parameters, and it knows automatically which one to use depending on how many parameters we're passing in. And this program is a little advanced, but I wanted to get more into the code instead of just lecture notes. So I kind of wanted to focus more on like actual code rather than the slides for this. Okay, so let me run this just to show as an example here. And actually, let me back up 1 second. So in the bank program, this is not really set up like a menu where the user is like, you know, press 1 for deposit, press 2 for withdrawal. These transactions are just in the code. So they just flat out run when we run the program. So there's no menu like press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and so forth. So when I run this, again, the only output here is from the print account info. So the other methods, we could add print statements, but it's basically performing the transactions kind of behind the scenes. And then when we call print account info, it's outputting the balance. So Smith, your account number is -1, your account balance is 660, account minimum balance is 0, account overdraft fee is 25. Here's account number -1, your account balance is 3,000, minimum balance 0, account overdraft fee is 25. So let me just show you one more thing, and then we'll be done with this program. So I'm going to go back to the bank program, and let's create a third customer. So I'm going to, this be called customer 3. And let's name him Howard Schultz, the old Starbucks guy. And let's print, well, let's print account info right off the bat. So customer 3 dot get account. Whoops. Can't type now. Print account info, right? So print the account info, and now let's do some transactions. I'm going to use my copy and paste here because I'm kind of lazy here. So I'm going to do a transaction deposit funds 1,000, and I'm going to print the account info after every transaction so we can see this update better. Okay, and then let's deposit again. And then I'll print the account info again after each transaction. And then let's do a withdrawal.
You're depositing funds on that, not after the 15,000 deposit. You're depositing again, not printing account.
Oh, okay, thanks. And you know, I'm copying and pasting here. That's fine. Just be sure that you update what needs to be updated. So if I copy and paste something from a customer 1, right, I have to update it to customer 3. And you know, you can do formatting, make this a little more clear if you like. So I could add spaces to kind of keep these in clusters. And then let's do one last account info. And this will kind of more better illustrate the transactions here.
Excuse me, teacher. I
Okay.
can't see your screen.
Is it your question or was that just... Okay, so I'm gonna run this. Let's add, I'm gonna add a print line statement so we know exactly where customer 3 starts. Oh.
I'm sorry, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we use scanner in this program?
Scanner?
Yes. Like here, you
Yeah,
give each customer their information and value. But if we want to use scanner,
yeah, exactly. This could have been set up like a ATM menu where you could have like a while loop, and you'd loop while input does not equal Q for quit, something like that. And then you could use a scanner, and the user would input, you know, 1 for deposit, and then they might input $1,000, press enter, and then it would take that value and do the transactions. But here I've just written the transactions right in the code. You could do it either way. So here's customer 3 transactions. So it starts off account number -1, account balance 0, and then here account balance is 1,000. Now account balance is 16,500, and then account balance is 17,500.
So where did these names show up?
Where does what?
The names, like Bob Smith, Howard, and.
Oh, we could add. So if we go to, we could add that. So in the customer class, we would need to use a get name method. Is there a get name method? Oh, here we go. So get first name. So if we go back to our customer 3, I could add system.out.println. Whoops. This is, oh. Gotta move this. customer3 dot get first name. We just get first name. Okay. Now that should print out customer3's first name. It should be Howard. So let's run this, see if this works. Okay, so now we have customer3 equals Howard. So we were able to add that. Again, remember, because the name field is private, so we can't just print customer3 dot first name. We have to print customer3 dot get first name, because the get first name method is public, but the data field itself is private. The print account info, that's just it's kind of like a report method. It just prints out a bunch of fields. So when we call that, we get all these fields printed out, and that's something you can design, any way you like. So the assignment as of now, it's not this complicated, but I thought this was a good example of just kind of walk through some of these topics.
Could you please post the sample on Canvas and maybe some other previous ones?
Yeah, it's actually here. I'll publish it right here. So the bank example is this code I just walked through. So it's right here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so okay, so now let's look at, oh, let me back up. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, so programming assignment number 5, grocery item list. So we're going to use grocery item order.java and grocery list.java. And that code is posted already on Canvas. And we're going to add a couple methods to those right now in class. And then we're going to write the main method for these. And this is an assignment, but if ideally we just walk through this right now in class, and you can work on it as I walk through it, because I'm going to go fairly slow. Oh, so let me look at the code here. So if you go out to that same code sample area, so you can pull the ones with the 2 in them, I believe, have the extra methods that I created. So you can pull those down. I think those have the extra methods, and then we're going to write the main method together here. So if you like, take a minute right now and download these 2 files, and then we're going to put them into a package, and we're going to write our 3rd class, which has the main method. And just like the bank program, we're going to write the transactions for these classes. And then what you'll turn in will be the grocery main method class.
So we download list 2 and order 2.
Download grocery item order 2 and grocery list 2.
What do the ones without 2 have?
I'll show you. They're extra. I wrote some extra methods to help. Okay, so I would start off, create a new package. So file, new, well, sorry, let me back up. You have your project set up probably. So file, new project, a Java project. And within that project, create a new package. And you can call your package like I called this grocery list underscore Feb 23 for today. Or you could just call your package grocery list and put those two class files inside that package for now. And I'll wait a couple minutes here for people who want to do.
So is that the grocery order to and the grocery list?
Yeah, is there a grocery list too, right?
Grocery list too? Oh, grocery list too. Okay.
I just added a couple notes in here, and then we'll walk through these two classes, and then we'll write the main method to run it. And I'll caution you. I did this once, and somebody thought like this is ridiculous. Why are we just walking through this in class? But there's going to be another assignment that is almost parallel to this. But you'll write that more on your own. But it's completely parallel to this. So this one we're walking through and like doing together basically. So to add these files, what I like to do is when you download those files and you have them saved locally on your hard drive or on the desktop, you can just select them and copy, like Control-C for copy, and then highlight your package and do Control-V for paste or use the menu options. And if you paste them in, they'll just pop right into the package like that. Or worst case, you could create a new class and copy and paste the code right into the class for it.
So I copied it in, but it's like giving me an error. I don't know if it's because I did the package thing wrong.
So make sure that in your code, so this says grocery list February 23rd. It just needs to match the name of your package.
Oh, I don't think I did that. Yeah, I did. So it needs to be like. Oh, okay, I'll change it.
So it can be any name of the package. It just has to match.
So is that grocery list February 23rd, is that the class and then you're putting the package under it when you're saving it?
This right here, grocery list February 23rd, that's the package. And my two class files are grocery item order 2 and grocery list 2.
Oh, okay.
To change the name of the package, you could change the name in the code, or you can right click on the package and select, where did it go? Refactor, and then rename, and that will rename the package here. Or you can just change the package name right in your code to match. There should be refactor, but you can also change the name here in your code just so it matches whatever it is here.
So for main method, we need to create another class, right?
Yeah, and I'm gonna walk through that in a minute, but first I'll walk through these two classes. But you're right. For the main method, we'll create a third class. And what did I name mine? You could call it something like grocery main. So is anyone else still having trouble getting these two class files loaded in?
Yeah, I'm still having difficulty trying to save it.
I think you have to save it like you have to save this file, and the default will disappear.
If it doesn't save, you could always just create the class and just copy and paste the code into it.
Yeah, you could do like new class. I'll just write example. Right, get your shell and then just copy and paste the code in like here.
Oh, okay, yeah. So is that new and then class or new and package?
Highlight the package and then do new class.
Yeah, so you should have like 3 classes within one package.
Yeah.
Okay. So like. Let's see.
If you're not seeing refactor rename for the package, I would say change the name of the package in your code to match whatever the name of your package is. But I'm also wondering, do you not have a package created? Are you just putting the class files right in your project maybe?
So I just
But-
made a new class. So once we just made a new class, then we just copy and paste the grocery item order to and list in it. Is that-
Yeah, you can just open up the code files and just copy and paste the code to put it right in your class files.
Okay.
I'm getting warnings. How do I? I just like copy pasted it your code and I'm getting warnings. Is that normal?
It might be normal. Are they like yellow squiggly lines?
Oh no, they're errors.
It's probably
Do
formatting
you
issues. Because when I did it as well, like especially the last one where it says Joe added this method, like it will usually comment out like 4 lines instead of just that 1 line. So you want to make sure you separate the comments. And then anything else is probably just what's it called? Formatting problems.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, if you are like copying and pasting the code, even to copy it through like just a simple text editor like Notepad, it will kind of strip it of any extra formatting that might have been brought in from HTML or anything like that.
Okay.
Okay, do you guys want to start walking through the 2 classes?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. So grocery item order 2. This is a class for grocery items. So grocery objects. So you can see it looks like it's a little slow.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out quite a bit.
Oh, okay. If it gets worse, I can go upstairs. So grocery item order, these are basically the actual groceries. So apple, orange, cereal, milk, salmon, steak, whatever it is, these are the actual grocery objects in the grocery store. So the fields are quantity, price. So here's the constructor, this default constructor. So string name, fname, int quantity, double unit. So then there's some methods like cost,
What's F name?
You know, I don't know. That's just what I named it. I may have brought that in from like another class where it meant first name, but it's really just the name of the parameter. Let's say it stands for food name, but that parameter gets set to this dot name. And then we have, so then I added a get method for get item name. And this public string to string method, it's kind of like a report method. It just says returns quantity plus, it returns quantity and name. So it might be like for like a 12 pack, 6 pack, whatever. But we'll basically use this class to create objects for each grocery item in the grocery store. Okay, so now let's go to grocery list. So this is basically a grocery list. It's kind of like the shopping basket or the receipt at a grocery store that lists all the items that the customer is buying. And so public class grocery list 2, here we have a constant max items. It's set to 10. And this is basically an array.
Can you repeat that? This is basically what? You cut off.
This is the array, private grocery item order, array, items. And let me go back here for 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's an array. Named items. Items is the name of the array. Sorry, I lost my place actually walking through here. The name of our array is items. And we know it's an array because of the 2 square braces. And then you ask, what is it an array of? It's an array of groceries. Remember, our grocery class was called grocery item order 2. This is an array of those grocery items. So this is actually an array of class objects. So grocery item order is our grocery items, and grocery list 2.java is basically an array of our grocery objects. So you can think of it as like a shopping basket or a grocery receipt list. It's basically, probably a shopping basket would be like easiest way to think of it, but it's an array. It's just gonna be a list of shopping items that we've purchased. So here we have a field private int num items. This will be used as a counter variable. Here's our constructor. So public grocery list 2, we know it's a constructor because it's the same name as the grocery list. Items equals new grocery item order 2. Here I set it equal to 20. We could use that max items constant either way.
So is this just putting a limit on the amount of things you could have? The amount of
yeah,
you could have
yeah, exactly. It would actually be better to use an array list, but array lists are more in CS211. So we're just using a simple array for this. So with a simple array, we have to specify the size. So typically you would just create a size larger than you think you're going to need, basically.
Wait, I'm sorry. I thought like max items was set to 10, or are they different things?
Yeah, it is. So really, this would probably be better to do that, and then we could set max items equal to something like 20.
Oh,
So is max items a method?
This is just a constant variable. All we're doing is we're creating our array, but when we create the array, we have to tell it how big the array is. So we're saying this array is going to have length 20.
But there's a final, which I don't know what it is.
Because this is a constant. So a constant variable, you cannot change the value in the program.
Oh, okay. I see. Thank you.
by the way, I'm sorry. By the way, do the words so the variable after final, does it have to be like all the words have to be in capital letters?
Technically no, but it's a style thing that for constant variables you make the name of the variable all caps, and then you know it's a constant. The final keyword is what makes it a constant, though.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so so here's our constructor, and we say, okay, we're going to create an array of grocery objects of length max items, and we set our counter equal to 0. That's just a counter used to loop through here. Okay, then we have an add method, and the add method takes a grocery object as a parameter named item, and it simply adds it to the list. So it says our array items of num items equals item, and then increments the counter. All that's doing is taking a grocery object, adding it to the array, and then bumping the counter up so that we know where we are in the array. Then we have get total cost. This would be like when you're at the register and this is calculating the total bill. And we have display items. This is more like print receipt, just printing the list of items. So for get total cost, starts off, sets cost equal to 0. And then we have a for loop for int I equals 0, I is less than num items, I plus plus. And then we loop through the array and we call items of brace I brace dot get cost, and we add it onto the running total cost. So remember our items the get cost method. So this can be kind of confusing. Here's our array of grocery objects, okay? And the counter's I, and we're looping through the array. When we're at each object in the array, we call the method get cost. Get cost is a method of the grocery object. And get cost simply returns quantity times price per unit. So as we loop through, it's calculating that cost, and it's just adding it running total. So this is basically calculating like the grocery bill. And this is doing kind of the same, but instead of calculating the total bill, it's just outputting the item and the price for each item. So just to recap here, grocery item order 2 is our grocery object, whether it's an apple, an orange, a box of cereal, steak, whatever. And then grocery list, it's the array, the shopping list, with some extra methods to calculate the cost or to print the. So what we have here is basically the grocery object, grocery class, and then the shopping list. But we don't yet have a main method to actually run this with. Okay, so any questions before we start writing the main method?
Yes, real quick. Can we go back to item order? Can we go down now? Wait. No, I think, yeah, I'm sorry. I think it was grocery list. And I just have one question about the public void add grocery item list with num items iterating. Yes, here, this one. So what exactly does this one do? The get total cost 25, line 20.
Okay.
Yes, that one.
Item. What was that?
Yes, that one. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So let's look at the parameter. So the parameter of this method is named item. That's just the name of the parameter. But what's the data type? The data type is actually a object of the grocery item. So this add method, when we call this add method, we pass in a grocery item object. So we're literally passing in like cereal or orange or apple or whatever. And then this takes that grocery object and adds it to the array.
Okay, I can see it now. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to create the third class now. So say new class. And I'm going to check this checkbox here to include public static void main. We could type that in manually, but I'm going to need it anyways. And I'll call this grocery main. Okay. So now I have the beginning of our main method. And I'm just going to change the indentation here to the style that I prefer. Okay. So this is going to be the main method that I'm going to use to run this program. And to save time, I already have some code written up. I'm going to write it in here one line at a time. Okay, so let's see here. So grocery list 2, my list equals new grocery list 2. So I'm creating a object of our grocery list class, and I'm just naming it my list. It's yellow because it's saying, well, you've created something, but you haven't used it yet. So that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to create just a bunch of grocery objects, and you don't need to create the same. You can get creative here. So here I have grocery item order 2. That's the name of our class for the grocery objects. And I'm going to name it item 1 equals new grocery item order 2. And now I pass in the parameters. So text description rice, quantity 1, price $9.95. Text description Guinness, quantity 2, price $15.95. And again, I'm not using a menu option for this. I'm just creating the objects kind of in line in the code. So here I'm going to paste in some more groceries. But notice the name of the object changes. The name of the class is the same because they're all objects of the grocery item order class. But the name of the object is item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5, item 6. So create some grocery objects. You can change the name, the price, all that. Just create a few to have them in your code.
Sorry, what are those numbers again? 1, 9.95 and stuff.
So if we look at the grocery item class, right, the data fields are name, quantity, price per unit. So that's what we're passing in. Whoops. So I'm passing in name, quantity, price.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, now we need, so right now I've created a bunch of grocery objects. The objects are created, but I haven't really done anything with them. Like they're just kind of floating around in memory, but I haven't really put them anywhere. So now I want to add these items to our shopping cart, to our shopping list. Which is our grocery list 2 class, right? So now for each of those objects, I'm going to call my list.add item 1. Remember, my list is the name of my grocery list 2 class. And I call dot add, and I pass in the first item, item 1. So if we look at the grocery list class and we look at the add method, remember that's the one that just takes the class object and adds it to the array. So, and then I need to do that for the other objects here. So I'm going to copy and paste, but really I need to change the name of the object. So remember, these are multiple objects with different names, but they're all objects of the same class, the grocery item class. So these are just like different groceries. Now, this is a total side note, but you might be wondering this, so I'm just going to explain it. If you see code like this, you might naturally think, well, this is kind of redundant. Why don't we have like a loop or something? We have a counter and we add in, mylist.add item plus I, and I will loop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. We can't do that with the names of class objects. They have to be explicitly named. So this looks a little goofy here just because of the way we designed this. If this was more complicated, there's different ways to do this. We could loop and construct a string and dynamically formulate the name of the string and put the different groceries into different data structures, but that gets more complicated. So this is more just to illustrate creating multiple class objects for different groceries, and we're putting those class objects into an array to simulate a shopping basket or a shopping list. Okay, so now I've created a bunch of groceries. I've added those groceries to my shopping list or shopping basket. And now I just want to print out the list of items and get a total cost. Let me run this and make sure this works. I tested it once, but you never know when you type stuff in here. Okay, so when I run this, it's kind of like a shopping receipt at the register. One rice, $9.95, 2 Guinness, $31.90, 1 salmon, $33, 1 salad, $4.50, 5 corn, $7.50, 3 clams, $19.50 total, $106.35. And we could improve the formatting here and add, the dollar signs and 2 decimal places and all that kind of stuff. We can make this look kind of a lot prettier, but this kind of has a rough format here.
Can you please make it have dollar signs?
Yeah, so let's look at where we would do that. So I call that would be in this method, mylist.display items. So let's go there. So here, plus items.getCost, we could quickly to do this. Let's see if that fixes it. Whoops. So I was highlighting my grocery list and I went to select run as, but it only offered run configurations because that's not the class file with a main method. So I wanted to go to grocery main and right click and select run as, and now it offers run as Java application because it has a main method in that class. Okay, so now when we run this, now it's got the dollar sign there.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And this could be cleaned up further. It'd be nice to zero fill another 0 for like 450. To do that, I actually would need to look up the printf format for that. I don't know offhand, but it's a simple edit like that. And then same with the total.
So are we not going to add these grocery item order to our list in this one to make it a whole package?
Say that again?
Like at this point with the main method, it's just taking out the information from the other class, right? So are we gonna add those class, like copy and paste that in here and see where it will go?
Well, so what you would turn in for this assignment is just the class with the main method. So this code. So these 2 classes are on Canvas, and then we're adding this main method. So that's what you would turn in for this assignment.
Okay, so just this one.
Okay, I had a quick question. So
Yeah.
for the grocery item order 2, where you're just stating what item it is and the cost, for the cost, is that like the cost of one, or is that the cost of how like however many items that you bought? So going up, it's the main method, the grocery main.
Yeah, it's actually taking price and quantity and like adding and multiplying them.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I had it
And
very different.
Yeah, that could be done different ways.
Okay.
So the grocery items, the data fields are name, quantity, and price per fields, price per unit. So that's where it's kind of holding those 3 data points. And then when we produce that final shopping list, it's actually doing the calculation at that point. This could be redesigned to have the total price in the item. There's just different ways to design it like that.
All right, thank you.
So this program, can you think of other similar scenarios in life, kind of, that would use a similar structure of similar type of programs such as this?
Maybe like a Subway order or something.
Yeah, or even can you think of anything kind of outside the context of food that might have similar structure, kind of?
Like keeping score of a basketball game?
Yeah, totally. Like a sports team, a roster, basically anything with a list of objects. So, a crew team, a rowing crew. The rowing school would be like the shopping list. The rowers would be like the grocery items, right? Or sports roster, or even a airline itinerary, like passengers on a plane. Students in a classroom. There's basically a container object like the shopping basket or shopping list or sports team or airliner. And then there's the object, class object of the thing or people. So groceries, athletes, airline passengers, anything like that. So it's basically just a class object of something or someone, and then a list class of a simple array that contains those people or things. So did everyone get, whoops. So here's my main method. You don't have to add a lot to it. It's basically, we create the object, class object of the list, create the grocery items, add them to the array, and then it's display and calculate total.
Sorry, how do we print out the cost, total cost?
Total cost. So I called my list get total cost. So that's in my grocery list 2 class. There's this get total cost method.
But we still need my list in front.
Yeah, because that's the name of the object we created of that class.
I see.
So the name of the class is grocery list 2, but the object I created of it is my list. So once we have that object, we refer to the name of the object. So remember when we talked about the static keyword? Static keyword enables us to call the methods of a class without actually having an object of the class. But in this case, we actually have an object. and we named it my list. So then to call the method, we say my list dot get total cost. And as soon as you type in my list dot, it'll bring up all the different methods you can call.
So could you repeat again what like the what we need to add to what you have here under this grocery main?
So I created my object, my list, which is an object of grocery list 2. I created all the grocery objects. Item 1, item 2, item 3, 4, 5, 6, which are type grocery item order 2. Those are the groceries. And I passed in text description, quantity, price. Then I called the method mylist.add and added each of those grocery objects.
Okay.
And then I just called display items and get total cost.
Okay.
Someone said they got an error. Editor does not contain a main type. So double check your main method. Might be a problem with your main method.
Got a quick question. Do we just submit it the way it is now and only the main one?
Yeah, you just submit the main because we have the other two on Canvas already.
Do we need to? Sorry.
What was that? Okay.
Sorry. Do we need to add any modifications to this code before submitting?
No, not really, because we walked through it together. I mean, you can put comments like your name or whatever, but it's good. There's going to be another assignment though that you guys will do on your own that'll be like extremely similar to this, just a different context.
Which chapter of the book does this like cover? I mean,
it's so chapter. Let me go back here.
I mean, like which chapter would it help? I guess.
Chapter 8 classes, and then it also uses arrays, which are chapter 7, but it's kind of combining everything together at this point. But the new chapter is chapter 8 classes. I put these slides here from the Wu textbook. It's totally extra. You don't need to worry about it if you don't want to. It's just extra material. But it's chapter 8 is the classes. And then Thursday, I'm going to go through the chapter 3, processing and error trapping. But there's no quiz this week. Don't worry about a quiz. I will probably do a quiz later before the final. It'll be a very simple quiz, but it will use a lockdown browser just so you can practice using the lockdown browser. It's still in Canvas. It just has some limitations, like it doesn't let you open up other applications and stuff like that.
So part of this chapter, we are learning how to kind of like hiding some object and not put it in the main method. Like let some object private. So in this chapter, we are learning putting something we are calculating in private and using other like name to print out the total or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of combining all this stuff together. So classes and arrays and like for loops. But this program, the new topic here is really using these class objects. Here, hold on one second.
By the way, are you gonna be posting a final exam guide? Like, like these are the topics you have to focus on.
Yeah, I can do a review session too. The final exam is it's basically the chapters that we cover so far this quarter. So any chapter that we've covered will be on the final exam. But I could, as we get closer to that, I could do like a review session too.
Okay, thank you. Wait, so does that mean all CS students use the same textbook?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So all the different sections have the exact same final exam at exactly the same time, and each instructor like contributes questions to it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but they're trying to like standardize it.
Yeah.
But I can do like a review session too towards the end of the quarter.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. Thank you. And also, I really enjoyed what we did today with the walkthroughs. Could we like maybe do a little bit more of that in the future?
Yeah. So on Thursday, we'll do a walkthrough with some air handling, but I'll explain that more on Thursday.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, teacher. So here we don't talk about like use array to use array in this program, right?
So we use the array. It's an array of the grocery objects. So here is the array that holds the grocery objects. So I'm still going to polish up the assignment, but there'll be another assignment that's identical to this that will be a sports team roster. So it will be an array of people, of athletes on the team. And I mean, I almost shouldn't even say this, but you could almost use the exact code and like just change the variable name. So instead of a grocery item, it would be like a person or an athlete. And instead of a shopping list, it'll be a roster. But it's almost identical to this. But for this assignment, this is worth like a full assignment. So you can turn in exactly what we wrote together here, and then you're done with it and you get full points and all that. Okay, and then on Thursday, we'll do a air handling exercise together in class. So when you turn this one in, you just need to grab your the main method class. So I can select this and do Control-C for copy. And I could go to a folder on my local hard drive, do Control-V for paste. And there, it just pasted the code right in here. It's just a text file. And that's what you would upload to Canvas and turn in.
Wait, so right now I just submit the main method Java file that we were working on, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then we'll have class this Thursday. Today, this will be a busy week because last week we had the we just had that guest speaker day and we didn't have class the other day. So we will have class this Thursday. Okay, any other questions?
And the quiz is gonna be next week or March 1st or something.
I haven't made it yet, so I'm not probably not next week. Maybe the following week, because we kind of have a lot of because we have the assignments kind of focused on. So just email me with any questions. Though this shouldn't take you a lot of time because I really wanted to walk through it with you, in class. So you should be able to just turn in, what you have for today, and then I'll post the sports team roster assignment, which again is like really almost identical to this one, just a different context. It's just a roster instead of a shopping list. Okay, so see you guys. All right, thanks. Have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.